Hi, this is Richard Jacobs from Speakeasy Marketing, and it's time that you and I had a talk about the birds and bees of attorney websites, how they work and what really goes on. Now, what you're going to learn on the call today is several really interesting things that are going to be of great value to you. First thing, why being on the first page of Google for 10 or 20 different keywords won't get you any potential clients calling, even though you've been told this by dozens, if not more, SEO or website firms. I'm here to tell you that getting on the first page of Google is a fool's errand for this few of keywords. You're also going to learn how to get on the first page of Google for 10,000 or more keywords. Yes, it's possible. No, that's not an exaggeration, and I'm going to explain to you how to do it. You're also going to learn why your website should look like the root system of a 100-year-old tree instead of the movie set of an old Western. I'm going to show you how Google does an amazing job of showing people exactly what they searched for, as if by magic. I'm going to show you what you must have your website do in the first 2 seconds a potential client lands on it in order to keep their interest and get them to call or email you for a consult. You're going to learn how to restructure your website to get more potential clients calling, not just solicitors or current clients or court personnel. And finally, you're going to know how, not guess how, but know how to effectively get your website to attract potential clients. And you're going to see how well your website's doing. You'll be able to look inside of it as if you had a microscope or an x-ray. And all this will just cost you pennies a day. In many cases, it's actually for free. So with that in mind, let's get started. Before we start into the items that I told you about that you're going to learn, let me just give you 1 minute of a talk here. First of all, this is not a sales call. You can't buy anything by listening to the call. You can't be sold anything. So don't worry, relax, listen. You will learn a lot. This knowledge will help you in your practice, whether you hire me or you don't hire me or whatever it is. So again, relax and learn. Secondly, a lot of this content can be found in my book, Secrets of Attorney Marketing, Law School Dares Not Teach. It's on Amazon if you want to pick it up. Okay, well, here we go. First thing we're going to talk about again is why being on the first page of Google for 10 or 20 keywords is not going to get you any business. It's not going to get you any potential clients calling. It's a waste of time. Let me tell you a story. So I started myduiattorney.org from scratch. The purpose of the website was to generate DUI leads for attorneys nationwide. In the beginning, I was under the illusion that if I just got to the first page for DUI lawyer or DUI attorney, I would get tons and tons of calls and leads and life would be good. So when I did SEO on the site, that was my focus. And we try to get on the page 1 for Los Angeles DUI lawyer, New York City DUI lawyer, that kind of thing. So after about 8 months of doing this, we actually got to the point where we were number 1 for DUI lawyer and DUI attorney in the whole United States. That's no longer the case, but for a while, about 2 years ago it was. And I was so excited. I could tell you I was in LA at a seminar, and I stopped in a Starbucks and I looked, and I was number 1, and I was so happy. I was just flipping out. But what we saw is that it didn't get us any business. I saw that we would get maybe 6 or 8 people searching on that specific term every day and coming to the website, but it really didn't get me anywhere. So I was really disillusioned, and I started looking into different websites and different things, and I discovered that people don't just type in these few keywords that everyone thinks they do. They don't type in Seattle bankruptcy lawyer. They don't type in Orlando criminal defense lawyer. They don't type in, Wichita sex crimes attorney. Here's some of the stuff they do type in, and you would never guess this. I'd never guessed it either. Let's say for DUI. They'll type in, got pulled over in Boston, blew a .12, will I go to jail? They'll type in stuff like, I slipped and fell in front of the Macy's on Wilshire Boulevard, can I sue? They'll type in, I just deeded my house to my brother-in-law. If I file bankruptcy, can I keep my house? So now you'd never guess that people would type this stuff in. But I started seeing it. And what I decided to do was focus on these these terms, not these specific terms, but what I started to do is focus on themes. And instead of focusing on just a few keywords, what I did is I started writing a lot of content, blogging like crazy for the My DUI Attorney site. And what I noticed is we started to show up for more and more searches. And after a while, we got the site up to about 1,200, 1,300 searches a day from Google. And at one point, I looked over a whole year's worth of data, which was about 400,000 searches. And I was very surprised, but happy to see that about 360,000 of those searches were different things. So think about that for a minute. If only a few keywords were responsible for success, why and how would people type in 360,000 different things? And we were getting tons of leads by this time. And it wasn't because of any one particular keyword. It was because of, again, hundreds of thousands of keywords. And now that I've worked on many, many attorney websites, I see the same effect. A good attorney website will get, let's say, 100 Google searches a day, which will mean they'll probably get 2 or 3 phone calls from potential clients every single day, which is a great amount of volume. But even on that smaller scale, 95, sometimes even 100 of the 100 keywords are all different things. And they're not these blessed keywords that everyone is pursuing. They're all over the place. So when you look at your website, and when you're told by SEO companies or website companies, oh, we guarantee you the first page for this keyword or these 20 keywords or whatever, you can smile and know that that's not the right thing that needs to be done, and that's not going to get you anywhere. So now we're going to talk about how do you get on the first page of Google for 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 different keywords. Yes, it is possible. Not only is it definitely possible, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Okay. So what I do is I found that content, meaning an article put on your website, is what will help you get at all these keywords. So let's say you're a car accident attorney. And let's say you and I get on the phone and we do a 1-hour Q&A interview that'll get transcribed, edited, and put on your site. So I found that the average person speaks 150 words a minute. So a 1-hour call will be, 7,000 or 8,000 words of content. And when I've done this with attorney websites, on 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 practice areas, I saw that this is what attracted all these long tail, these long, complicated search terms. And this is what really started to get them a lot of business and a lot of clients calling. So what I do is I attack themes. So again, let's say you're a personal injury lawyer. We've got auto accidents. Let's say we do, 8,000 words on that. Dog bites, do 8,000 words on that. Medical malpractice, do that. We build up all these calls and all this content, and this is how you end up on the first page of Google for 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 keywords. Now I'm going to break it down a little bit more specifically. Let's say you're a criminal defense lawyer, and you focus on DUI, okay? So what I've done for some clients is we'll do a call and we'll talk about field sobriety tests, what they are, the common ones, what happens if you fail them, are you automatically doomed to go to jail. We'll talk about breath test refusals due to asthma or being overweight or acid reflux or all these kinds of things. What happens to your driver's license if you refuse a breath test. All these minute issues within one subject area. But as you can tell by listening, these are the questions that potential clients are going to ask you. And the reason why they ask you them is because they've searched a lot of times in Google and have not found the answer to them. So if you commit to getting this content done on your site and you talk about all the issues that people have in a particular practice area, and you put it on your website, Google is going to naturally show your website for thousands and thousands and thousands of different keywords and phrases that are matched to the content you have on your site. So this way, you can get at the first page of Google for countless thousands of keywords, and you're not going to even know what those keywords are until people are searching them, and neither do I. But I do know if you attack themes, then you can get at all these keywords. And I'm going to give one more example in case you're not a DUI lawyer and you think, oh, this doesn't work for me. We'll talk about divorce. So I've done a call on divorce, and we ask questions like, if my spouse is not spending the child support money on the kids and they're just blowing it, Can I get the child support reduced or taken away, or can I force them to use it on the kids? And you probably know the answer is no. But we did a call on that with this one attorney, and she started getting a lot of searches on divorce. We asked, how does alimony work? Oh, well, in my state it's called spousal maintenance. Okay, well, how does spousal maintenance work? We went into that. We talked about, is it better to be aggressive and really fight in a divorce, or is it better to try to work with your spouse and come to an agreeable end? Should you hire an attorney that's vicious and wants to tear the other person apart, or is it better for all parties that they cooperate? So that's another example of how we went into all these themes around a subject, and during a call and had it transcribed and put on the website. Now you can do this by blogging, but it's a lot harder and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I suggest you do it by recording you speaking, because it's kind of effortless then. And it's funny if you think about it. That's literally what I'm doing now to create this. If I had to sit and write it, it would have been a gigantic pain in the ass. I'd much rather speak it. In fact, I've spoken an entire book by doing this. Anyway, all right, let's get back to the subject. Third part, we're going to talk about why your website should look like the root system of a 100-year-old tree instead of the movie set of an old Western. Now, if you look at an old Western, if you went on the movie set, what you'd see is a nice facade of, let's say, an old Western town. But you walk behind the wood facade, and you'd see 2x4s and pretty much nothing. Okay, and most websites look like this. This means the homepage of the website is beautiful. It's got all the social media stuff. It's got videos, all that stuff. But every other page of the site looks like crap, or it looks the exact same as the homepage. And what that does is it makes your site appear in Google again as the movie set of an old Western. It's not good. What you want it to look like, and what it actually does look like, whether you want it to or not, is the root system of a tree. Now you can have it look like the root system of a puny stick with one or two roots that's easily blown over by the wind. Or you can have it look like the root system of a 100-year-old gigantic oak tree, thousands of roots going in every direction, a root base that's 30 foot in diameter or more, very stable, not knocked over by the wind or rain or storm. That's what you want your website to look like. And we're going to talk about how you do that in a little while. Now I'm going to tell you that, let me hit this up. All right, so before we move on, let me explain why your website looks like a root system. Very, very important. Each page of your website, when you picture the root system of a tree, each page of your website is like one of those roots. So if you have a 20-page website, you'll have a root system of 20 different roots and root hairs. If you have a 300-page website, you've got an extensive root system of 300 different roots with little hairs branching out all over the place. Each page of your website looks like one of those roots or one of those root hairs. When people search in Google, it's as if they are nutrients coming through the soil into the roots of your site, into your website. So when people search in Google, they'll actually come in through one of those pages or through one of those roots. Most people do not come in through the home page of a website. They come in from every direction. And that's why this image, if you Google it right now, it'll really help you. The entire root system of a tree is exposed to the soil, just as your website, every page of your website is exposed to Google searches. And when people search in Google, a certain page of your website will show up based on what they search. So let's say someone's searching for the difference between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and you have a bankruptcy website. That particular page where you talk about that is what will show up in Google. And when people click on it, that particular page is where they will land on when they come to your website, not your home page. So if you think about it, this concept is very, very different from what you've been told and what you're used to. And it tells you how you want to start restructuring your site to make sure that when people land on these different pages, they're effective. So I've kind of skipped over this idea, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how Google does an amazing job of showing visitors exactly what they search for, like magic. So imagine you're going to go to Walmart and you're going to buy some purple polka dot socks and an ice cream and a flashlight. Well, normally you walk in there and you got to look around, find your bearings, and go to each of these departments and try to find the item. It may take you 20, 30 minutes. Then you got to wait online. It's a real pain in the ass. Okay. Now imagine you walked into a magical Walmart, and as soon as you walked in, these purple polka dot socks were right there. Then you just turn around, and right there is that flashlight you were looking for. And then you turn around, and right there is that exact ice cream you were looking for. And oh, it so happens the checkout line is right there, and no one's in line. So you're in and out of that Walmart in like 2 minutes. How happy would you be? Well, that's what you want to do for people on your website. And this is what Google does and is really good at. So again, if someone's searching for DUI lawyer Dallas, at best, they're going to hit the homepage of a DUI website. But when they're really searching for stuff like this, will I go to jail on a second DUI where I refuse the breath test? And you have an article on your site about refusing the breath test for multiple DUIs. Someone's searching in Google. Well, here's what Google does. They'll show that particular page of your site in the Google search results. And when someone clicks on it, they're going to go exactly to that particular page. And if you have an interesting article on exactly that subject, well, guess what happens? The person says, oh, cool. This is exactly what I was looking for. I got the answer right here. I don't have to search for it. I can immediately start getting the answer that I want. So what have you done by doing this? You've helped Google do its job, and Google will reward you by showing you in its search engine. And you've helped the potential client because you've shown them instantly what they're looking for. You haven't wasted their time. You haven't made them gotten on their knees and beg and search around in the dirt for the answer. It's right there immediately. So it's much more likely you're going to have a happy potential client that's going to look up, and if they see the phone number there, which they should on every page, they can call you and talk about an initial consult or send you an email. So what you want to do, again, with this root structure is play into Google and how it works. You want to structure your site so that it looks like this root system and Google can do its job. And once you realize this is how Google does its job, this is going to transform how you see your website. Okay. Now we're going to talk about what you must have your website do in the first 2 seconds a potential client lands on it in order to keep their interest. And I've pretty much told you the answer. You got to show them the most closely matched result to what they searched for. So if they search for child support calculations, if you have 3 kids in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they land on your site, if they don't land on a page that tells them within 2 seconds, I'm in the right place, they're just going to click back and leave. And they'll go back to the search results and click on someone else's site. Or they may just go back to Google and search on something else, and you've lost them. So you don't have much time to capture somebody, so you better make sure they got exactly what they're searching for instantly. And that's why it's so important to have content and a lot of it on your site, because not everyone's searching for the same thing. People search for all kinds of crazy stuff you can't even imagine. So the more content you have, the bigger your root system, the more people you're going to catch in it, and the more people will come to your site and potentially call you. So that's why it's so important. So that's what you got to have your website do right off the bat, like that, or people will leave. All right, now we're going to talk about how to restructure your website, keeping in mind the analogy of the tree roots, of the criticality of the first 2 seconds, of how Google will show a particular page in search. The whole point of this is to get more potential clients calling you. Not solicitors, not current clients, not court personnel, not junk, but real potential clients. Okay, so if you've done things right, you already have a lot of content. When people come to your website, each page is interesting and compelling and makes them want to stay and not leave. Okay, if you're not doing this and each page looks the exact same, or each page, let's say, doesn't have the phone number, or each page doesn't clearly identify where someone is and what they've found, again, they're going to leave. So here's some tips on what to do to make all your pages effective. You want to make each page, again, have a relevant article based on what you want people that are searching to land on that page for. A good idea is to have related articles, 3 or 4 related articles that are really similar to what that particular subject is you're talking about. Let's say sex crimes, okay? So if someone's searching on something about sex crimes, and you have an article on penalties of sex crimes, you want to have related articles on possible defenses for them, the different types of sex crimes, sentencing guidelines, all that stuff. You don't want to have everything else you have on your website on that page because it'll be a distraction. So you want to have relevant info, but you want to balance it with not being too distracting and having 800 things on the page. You don't need social media icons on every page. You don't need all this stuff. You want to keep it really focused. Another good thing to have on every page is your phone number, your address, and your email or an email form. It's either up at the top right or immediately seeable when someone hits a page, because if someone's reading a particular article, they want to be able to look up and call the number. They don't want to have to go hunting for it. That's a bad idea. If you make people expend any extra effort when they get onto your site, again, they'll just leave. It seems like not a big deal, but people are lazy, and the web is the ultimate, low threshold, lazy place. So one click can make the difference of having to hunt for stuff. So that's another important thing. Another thing I've noticed that people do is they want to look at the attorney profile, and they want to see and learn about who is this person I'm going to be calling. Are they a nice person? Are they a jerk? Are they mean? Are they knowledgeable? So it's always good to have a link to your attorney profile or maybe a mini bio on each article page, because the person can look and say, oh, there's the picture of the person. Here's a few credentials. Okay, great. All right, I'm comfortable calling this person. So these are a few things you want to make sure you have on your website. Cut down distraction, have a mini attorney profile, and have it very easy to contact you, and have relevant content. If you have that on every single page of your website, which is not hard to do, you'll have a much more successful site at getting you potential clients and not junk. All right, last point. I want to show you how to know, not guess, how effective your website is in attracting potential clients to call. And a lot of this is free. A small part of it costs you a little bit, but it's pretty cheap. So everyone should have what's called Google Analytics hooked up to their website. You just need a Gmail address. It's easy to get. Just create one or use one. And it's free. You go to google.com/analytics and you sign up for analytics. They'll give you like a one-line piece of code that you can have your web guy or you just put onto your website. And then Google will start showing you every day who's on your website. So this is really cool. First of all, it's free, and it's going to show you this. How many people searched on your site a day? Where they came from. Did they come from just typing in your website address? Did they come from Googling your name? Joe Smith, attorney at law? Did they come from typing in all different kinds of keywords? Like how do ignition interlocks work? Do I have to talk to the third-party insurance company if I get into an accident and make a statement? That kind of stuff. But you'll be able to see literally what people are typing into Google to get to your site. If you advertise with the radio or Yellow Book or any of these places, it'll show you if anyone came to your site from those places. It'll show you how long each person stayed on the site, what pages they went to, and if they took an action, if they clicked something, if they went somewhere. It's amazing. It's like an ant farm or an x-ray for your website. You'll be able to see daily, where are we at? Am I getting 1 visitor a day? Am I getting 50 visitors a day? Am I getting lots of calls every day? Am I getting no calls? And you'll be very surprised, unpleasantly, unfortunately, but well over 90% of attorney sites, no matter how beautiful they are, no matter how ugly, no matter if they spent $20,000 to design them or they did it themselves, a lot of them just don't get much traffic at all. Sometimes, I would say the average is 2 to 5 visitors a day. And at that level, you're not going to get any business. You may get like a call a month, but it doesn't, none of these things matter that we talked about unless you get that number up. And that's what a good SEO company will do. They'll grow that number. But if you have eyes into your website and you can see what it's doing and what your baseline is, well, now when you hire a vendor, you can hold them accountable and say, hey, man, you've been working with me for 6 months and I'm still getting 3 visitors a day. That tells me you're not doing your job. You're fired. Or if you sign on with some company, and they want to put you in a 2-year contract, first of all, I wouldn't do it. But if they do, you'll have evidence that they haven't done anything for you and you're still at that same level. Or if you're confused and you say, well, I spent all this money on a website, and it's beautiful, and it's this, and it has social media, but I'm not getting any calls. Why? Well, now you'll know. All right, so here's part 2 of this. There's a way you can track when someone calls you, who they are. Are they a solicitor? Are they court personnel? Are they a potential client? I use a service called If by Phone, IFBY Phone. It's pretty cheap. You can get a local number. I think it's like $5 a month, and the service itself is maybe $50 a month. And you can put that phone number on your website, all over the place, on every page, and on Google Maps and all these places. So what this does is this phone number will forward directly to your phone number, but it'll track the caller ID of every person that calls, how long the phone call was connected, and when it came in. So you can give this to a secretary or yourself, and you can review either every day or every week or every month. All right, we got 26 calls. Here's the caller IDs. Let me match this up. Okay, out of 26, 12 were solicitors, 10 were court personnel, and these 4 were potential clients. And out of these 4, we retained 3 of them. So, okay, great. That's our baseline. Or, this vendor I have says I'm getting all these calls, and they give me these reports, but they're all junk. They're all solicitors. Well, now I can know myself, without having to depend on anybody, where this stuff is coming from. So these 2 things really are a must for all of your marketing, not just your website. Because this, again, will give you control. You'll have eyes and ears into what's going on, and you'll be the master of your own destiny. And you'll never again be a victim of a bad company. And you'll know who's good, who to work with, and it'll just be a lot better for you. There's really no reason not to do it. All right, so this ends the call today. We hit right about 25 minutes. I hope this has given you a lot of insights into how your website works and how you can change things around there to make your website get you a lot more clients from Google and to improve your business. Any questions, comments, anything, visit SpeakeasyMarketing.Inc.com or give me a call.